Hello and welcome back to Becoming Unrivaled, where becoming an unrivaled being is the outcome and being unrivaled is the process. Today, we are exploring our second pillar of our 7 unrivaled pillars to achieve an unrivaled state of health. They are DNA, hormones, gut health, nutrition, movement, mindset, and sleep. In our last episode, we covered an overview on our DNA pillar. Today, we are talking hormones, and this is one of my favorite topics because no one's talking about it, right? Everyone's thinking about calories in versus calories out or looking at the macronutrients or whatever, but hormones are the ones that are in control of pretty much everything that you do. They control everything from our moods to our sleep to our sex to even how we store and how we burn body fat. And when we talk about calories in versus calories out, I'm going to ask you to consider that it's not the calories, it's a hormonal response to your body composition. And we're going to explore that as an overview today. And as we go through our pillars and our level system, we're going to get into the complexities and give you guys some really good, solid action steps so you can start to be in control of your hormones rather than having your hormones control you. So today in this episode, I want to invite you to consider that yes, a calorie is a calorie is a calorie. However, on the hormonal level, it has a completely different response. I'll give you an example. Yes, a calorie is a unit of energy that is standardized. A macronutrient, a protein, fat, and carb is a standardized unit of a macronutrient, right? And then you can break that down into your micronutrients, and all of those are standardized. So if you're just worrying about a calorie in versus a calorie out scenario, here's my invitation for you to start to consider that the hormones, or you should be eating to trigger the hormone reaction, not the calorie reaction. So on a surface level, let's just take 2 fats, for example. We have an avocado and we have canola oil. Let's just say on the calorie level, they're both fats, they both contain 9 calories per gram of fat. On the macronutrient level, they're both fat, right? So they contain the same calories and they contain the same amount of fat in this example. If you chunk down, they have a completely different hormonal response inside the body. Your avocado is anti-inflammatory. Your canola oil is pro-inflammatory. So one is going to work with you and optimize your results, and one is going to add some body fat, slow down, and add to the aging process. So that's just an example of how important our hormones are, and it's not necessarily the calories. You've got to start thinking deeper. Everything that we do has a hormonal response, and this overview is going to get you to start thinking and taking action to take back the control of your hormones. So let's start off with level number 1 inside our hormonal pillar. Our father of all hormones is cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone. It's natural inside our body and it's there to keep us alive under times of stress and danger. It is our fight or flight hormone. It's our sympathetic nervous system response, okay? So cortisol is actually the hormone that wakes you up in the morning. It raises your core body temperature and it brings on the feeling of alertness and wakefulness. So cortisol ages with age. So if you're 60, you have the increased level of cortisol than you were if you were half your age. Cortisol is also known as the death hormone. It kind of kills off some cells, right? It adds to the aging process. As I said before, cortisol is a natural hormone. It is great for us. It has some fantastic properties to help us stay alive. However, the problem occurs when cortisol is elevated for prolonged periods of time. It's naturally meant to peak and drop. So when that happens, when cortisol is elevated for prolonged periods of time, we have things like fatigue and chronic fatigue. We have things like inflammation and chronic inflammation. We have high blood sugar. We have sugar cravings. We have high cholesterol, and also we have an increased body fat percentage, especially around our midsection, or otherwise known as our belly fat. I know we're going to deep dive into all of these, but what's something right now that you can do to help manage your cortisol? The most simplest thing that you can do right now is something you're already doing. You probably just need to do it better, and that is breathe. Everyone take a deep breath in with me. So there was a Japanese study that showed that 6 deep breaths into your diaphragm, down into your belly, can trigger you from a sympathetic into a parasympathetic state. So our sympathetic nervous system is that stress response, is that fight or flight. And when we think about when we're stressed, right, we start to breathe up into our chest. So this study showed that 6 deep breaths through our stomach, down into our diaphragm, can switch you from sympathetic, fight or flight, into parasympathetic, rest and digest. So breathwork is a fantastic method for you to help decrease your cortisol. There's some others as well, but very quickly, there's meditation, right? Meditation is fantastic and is scientifically proven to reduce your stress. We've got earthing and grounding, right? Ask yourself this question: when was the last time you actually touched earth? And just like lightning has to come down and rid itself of these negative charges, these negative ions, we too need to do the same. But if you actually think about it, right? We wake up, we put our socks on and we walk on carpet, right? And then we put our shoes on and we go to work. And you may work in a skyscraper or somewhere that is not on ground floor, which means you're even more disconnected to earth. Then you travel home, versus bus, train, whatever it may be, but you're wearing shoes, right? And you're not connected to the actual Earth's surface, the magnetic field. And then you get home and you take your shoes off. And if it's winter, you have your socks and your slippers on. If it's summer, you've still got your socks on and you're walking around carpet. And it could be days, weeks, or even months before you actually physically touch earth. So earthing has been another proven way to help reduce the negative buildup and the stress and the overwhelm that gets built up inside these negative charges inside our body. Our second level inside our hormone pillar is insulin. Now, insulin is our storage hormone. And again, we can have this working for you or us, or you can have it working against you or against us. It's much better for your health, your vitality, and longevity to be in control of insulin. So think of insulin like a security bouncer at a nightclub, okay? He or she is the gatekeeper to let whoever it is into their facility. So the insulin receptor allows or disallows energy into the cells, okay? Facility is cells and security guard is the insulin gatekeeper. Hopefully you're playing along at home. Now, at 9 o'clock in the evening on a Saturday night, there's no one really in the facility. So the gatekeepers, the bouncers, they want patrons inside their cell. They want them in their facility. So when we are insulin sensitive, when there's no energy inside our cells, insulin allows the energy coming from glucose, chunked up, coming from a carbohydrate, to go into our cells so we can use it for instant energy. But problems arise when the facility, when the nightclub is totally full. We can no longer get more patrons inside the nightclub. So our cells are very, very similar to that. We can only store a certain amount of carbohydrates formed as glucose inside our cells. Now, when that happens, the gatekeepers have to shut their door. So now you have drunk patrons outside on the street causing havoc. Now we take that metaphor and we go inside us. Now we have a lot of extra glucose inside our bloodstream causing a high glucose response. Now this leads to weight, specifically fat gain. It leads to high blood pressure. It leads to diabetes. And it also leads to our the world's number one cause of all-cause mortality is cardiovascular disease. So this is very, very preventable, just by understanding and optimizing insulin to make it work for you versus against you. Level 3 inside our hormone pillar is our anti-aging hormone. It is growth hormone. So growth hormone is our magical hormone. It's our anti-aging hormone, and it's there to heal and repair. So it helps you heal and repair your skin, your eyes, your hair, your nails. Growth hormone is also fantastic at helping you to increase your lean muscle mass and decrease your body fat without doing exercise. It's crazy. If you guys could get this on tap and it was free and everything like that, get it on tap. But we're going to show you ways how you can actually hack this so you can get it naturally. And you can get it naturally. There's a couple of things that you can do to boost your anti-aging hormone. You can do it through fasting. So statistics show that after a 16-hour fast, we have a spike of growth hormone. This is fantastic. It also increases the longer you fast. So you can do a 24-hour fast. You can do a 48-hour fast. And studies show that a 2 by 20 minute sauna session with a 15-minute cooling off period can spike your growth hormone by plus 50%. So let's actually start to put this into a nice little picture that if you really want to take your anti-aging and your growth hormone, your lean muscle mass and the decreasing of body fat, put that on steroids, well, maybe you should consider or potentially consider fasting for say 16 hours, get a spike in growth hormone, then you complete a workout in a fasted state, then you sit in a sauna for your post-workout recovery. You'll be looking 6 years old and they'll be calling you Benjamin Button. So what throws growth hormone off, okay? We just spoke about it before, insulin. Whenever insulin is present, growth hormone cannot be secreted. So now you start to get to see a picture. So we spoke about cortisol, insulin, and growth hormone. Let's go back down to cortisol. When we're stressed, what do we usually like to do when we're stressed? You go for comfort foods, right? What are usually our comfort foods? Your takeaways, your chips, your pastas, your candy, your chocolate, all of that stuff. What do? They raise insulin. So one snowballs into the other. Now, if you can manage your cortisol, you can help to manage your insulin levels. If insulin is not present, then you have the opportunity to secrete growth hormone and reverse the aging process. Again, our pillars work independently, but they also work interdependently, just like our levels system. So next on our levels system inside our unrivaled pillar of hormones is a combination of hormones. These are known as our happiness hormones, EDSO. EDSO just stands for endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. So we've got serotonin, right? And serotonin is your natural painkiller. So think about this when we go for a run, right? We go for a run, we're running up these hills, and we get a release of endorphins, and that is great. It's also known as the runner's high, right? And so what happens afterwards, we feel really good, and then an hour or 2 or 3 or 4 hours later, we start to stiffen up and our muscles become sore and fatigued, right? Because our painkiller, the endorphins, have started to wear off. So with this, that's why people can become addicted to exercise, because endorphins make us feel really good. Makes us feel like we want to conquer the world. With low levels of serotonin, you can be quite emotionally sensitive. You're back in your back shadow a little bit. You don't really feel like taking on the world. So when we're in that state of not wanting to take on the world, when we're feeling like we're in our back shadow, what does this lead to? Maybe more comfort foods. So what can we do to increase endorphins? Naturally, through food and lifestyle as our medicine. So we just spoke about a lifestyle factor such as exercise. That is absolutely fantastic. It makes us feel good. But hey, we also want some food. So let's get straight on into that. You can increase your plant-based fats, right? Plant-based fats are fantastic. Also, get this, fat doesn't spike insulin like carbohydrates do. So again, if you increase your plant-based fats, you're hitting all of those other levels, or you're helping to assist hitting all of those other levels inside this hormone pillar. The other thing that you guys can do is I'm going to put this in there for you, because I know we all probably have a little bit of a sweet tooth. If you're going to go for some sort of chocolate, dark chocolate. The next happiness hormone inside EDSO is dopamine. Dopamine can be very addictive. It can be destructive. And what you need to do, or you need to learn, is how to use this hormone for good intentions and a positive outcome, versus having this hormone use you and you start to go down a negative path. So get this, right? Maybe you're one of these people, or maybe someone in your family, or maybe a friend is someone like this. Do you know someone who is a to-do list type of person, right? And do you know, or have you seen, or can you imagine that person not having their task on their to-do list, but they finish a task? They write the task on their to-do list and then they cross it off with a massive smile. That's because they're chasing their dopamine hit. It's in a sense of accomplishment. The other thing that really helps with accomplishments is setting tangible goals, right? So dopamine, you want to be hitting your goals. That's why we say celebrate the small wins. There's many people out there that say, hey, set your goals so high, like aim for the stars. And if you hit the moon, you'll be happy with that. Well, I don't know about you. That doesn't work for me. I would rather Aim for the moon, hit the moon, celebrate. Aim for the stars, hit the stars, celebrate. This constant celebration, the acknowledgement of the time, the effort, the reward factor sends off a dopamine signal inside our body. And this is why dopamine can also be addictive, because you get addicted to that feeling of feel good. So this is why exercise can be addictive, because someone loses 1 kilo, they feel good, they lose 2, they lose 3, they lose 4, then they start getting compliments from strangers and friends and family who they haven't seen in a long time, and it just keeps triggering this really good feel-good type of hormone called dopamine. But you can also get this in negative ways, and I'm just going to preface this. It's far easier to get dopamine in a negative way. And why I mean easier, because you can get dopamine through alcohol, through drugs, you can get it through gambling, and you can also get it through your phone. So it's far easier to sit on the couch and drink